Hey everybody, Helen Ann here from the Jersey Shore Real Estate Experts, and we are going to take a little bit of time to unpack these two new condominium laws that were passed last January that are going to start being enforced of this January 2025 and then in January of 2026. We have two things happening, a lot of confusion. I want to break it down for you. Keep it simple. Let's dive into it. This is Helen Ann from the Jersey Shore Real Estate Experts, and this is Living at the Jersey Shore. I want to thank you folks for following our YouTube channel. Please take a minute to like, subscribe, listen up. Our desire is to really provide you with quality content that you can come to as a resource for condominium ownership and for shore property ownership here at the Southern Jersey Shore. So again, welcome to Jersey Shore Living. Let's dive into what's going on. In January of this past year, two laws were passed, if you will, bipartisan legislation. We've talked about this before. One of the laws is a capital reserve study, or a reserve study has to be done by all condominium associations. I was conducting an open house this weekend, had some great people come in that are currently owners of condominiums, and they just had a weekend meeting with their board, their fall meeting, and there was no mention of this, and they were not at all aware as we were chatting about it. And I kind of got the idea because on either Thursday or Friday, a past client had reached out to seek some clarification, and I was answering his questions first thing Saturday morning before I headed over to the open house. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to do a little poll here and see of the folks that come in, of any of them are already existing owners of condominiums. Do they know what's going on with this rule? Is their association prepared? How are they preparing? What's happening? I had a great couple come in from Atlantic City. They said that they live in a building in Atlantic City that essentially just does a special assessment every time something needs to be fixed, which I found to be very curious. They had no knowledge of this particular rule. Another couple came in, they just had their semi-annual meeting with their board and their owners meeting. They had seen a YouTube video that we had done in the past that talked about this, but they were surprised no one in their board had brought it up. When they had mentioned to their board was not aware. What I'm finding is properties that seem to be professionally managed, buildings that tend to be 12 units or more, seem to be a little more in the know because they do have that professional property manager that is communicating information to them throughout the year. I'm finding that smaller associations are not quite as well versed in what's going on. And again, because you have mostly volunteers in these positions, they don't know what's happening. So I'd like to unpack this for you again, trying to keep it simple. I saw a couple of posts on social media today and over the weekend where people are asking some questions. I'd like to help break it down and again, keep it simple for you. This January 2025, all condominium associations are going to have a reserve study completed, a capital reserve study in place. That is, if your building is more than 5 years old. Or if your association, I should really say, is more than 5 years old. The age of your building has nothing to do with this. It has to do with the age of your association. So if your condominium association is less than 5 years old, when your association was formed, you would have been given a master deed, bylaws, and a budget from whoever your developer was, their attorney. That budget basically is a capital reserve study that kind of shows you what you guys have to use and allocate going forward. That comes when you originally start out with a condominium association. What we tend to find is as condominium association boards are passed and changed every couple of years, we have new board members coming in. We're not finding that condominium associations or boards are really housing their information in one local source where any new board member can go in, grab the master deed, grab the bylaws, grab the rules, grab the regulations, grab actual master insurances if needed. So again, we're finding that there's a little bit of a lack on the association side from an organization perspective. And rightfully so, most of these associations are run by volunteers, as we have all come to understand. So again, a capital reserve study is for all associations if you are more than 5 years old and your building has more than $25,000 in common area elements. Now, what does that mean? A common area element, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be your roof. It's going to be your decks. It's going to be your fence. It's going to be your driveway. It's going to be your pool area. Those are all considered common area elements. So it is highly likely that all condominium associations have common area elements that are valued in replacement of more than $25,000. So for shits and giggles, all condominium associations are going to have a capital reserve study done. Costs of these studies are averaging anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000. Depends upon the size of the building, the size of the association. The more information that you can provide to the individual who is doing the study, the less homework they're going to have to do, the less research they're going to have to do. It will better enable them to provide you with a quality study for a little bit less money. Who can conduct the study? The person that conducts a study has to either be a licensed engineer or architect in the state of New Jersey, or they have to be somebody who is approved by the Community Association Institute or certified by the Community Association Institute. I'm going to have a link below to the Community Associations Institute. Their name, like they say, they are designed to help community associations. If you are an owner in a condominium association, you are a member of a community association, and you should tap into this resource. We're going to link their website below. Tap into them, share it with your board. They have some very easy information on there for you to disseminate. So again, when it comes to the capital reserve study, just about all condominium associations, if you are more than 5 years old. If you are less than 5 years old, you're off the hook for now. But when year 5 rolls around, you're going to have this study and be able to produce it. Who is going to ask for it? We don't know yet. That's kind of the unknown. I've seen some people on social media say, hey, this isn't enforceable. I've called my local municipality. They don't know anything about this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a law. It was passed in January of 2024. It is not going to be enforced until January of 2025 for a capital reserve study and January of 2026 for a structural integrity report. They are still laws. They're not going to be enforced for a little bit of time to allow for associations time to prepare themselves. But keep in mind, at the blink of an eye, whoever's in charge of this can say, okay, let's start enforcing them, and this is how it's going to happen. And I don't want to see your association get caught with your pants down. If you get caught with your pants down, what does that mean? It may mean that when it comes time for a buyer to try to buy into your building, one of your homeowners is trying to sell their condominium, they may not be able to. I'm already having buyers agents call on our listings and say, hey, do you have any special assessments? Hey, do you have that reserve study? Buyers are already informed and they're already asking. It is very plausible that a buyer's lender is going to ask for this. So you better make sure that you have it. It is very plausible that your master insurance provider, your master hazard and liability provider, or your master flood and policy provider could ask for this. We don't know yet who's going to ask, but when they do, you better have it. It's that simple. It's just really to make sure that your association is fiscally healthy, and if it's not, it establishes a plan to assist you going forward. A couple parts of this are, if you don't have the money that you need, it's okay. They're there to help you figure out a plan to get yourselves funded moving forward. A couple of just important things you need to understand is, again, who can do the report? They must be someone that is accredited by the Community Associations Institute. We have a link of who they are so that you can find out who these people are. This is a great resource for you. I'm also going to link 2 podcasts. These 2 podcasts were done by Homeowner Association Insights. One podcast speaks specifically about the structural integrity report. One podcast speaks specifically about the reserve study or the capital reserve study. Take your time and read up on these. Not all associations need the structural integrity report, but right now, all associations will need the capital reserve study or the reserve report. So that is something that you need to get done, and sooner than later. Keeping in mind, this is to help you to develop a 30-year funding plan based upon the reserve study. This is to make sure that your association has adequate funds going forward in the event that something needs to be repaired or replaced. This is to help protect you. These studies have to be updated every 5 years. That will be done to help just really make sure that the conditions of your property are correct and that the conditions of the marketing in terms of going rate to replace things, it's adequately addressed so that you're adequately funded. And again, going forward, every handful of years when these new studies are done, Should we find out that you do have the adequate funds in your reserve, then they could help you to dial back and help you to readjust your budget, making it adequately reflect wherever you are standing with regards to any repairs that need to be made. Okay, now that we've taken a few minutes to unpack the reserve study and understand that for the most part, all condominium associations have to participate in the capital reserve study, let's take a few minutes to dive into the structural integrity report and get a better feel for exactly who that's going to apply to. Now, guys, I want to be crystal clear. I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not an attorney. The advice that I am giving you is not legal advice. I'm trying to guide you and advise you to the best of my knowledge from the information that I've been able to gather and to the best of my level of understanding. Full disclosure, when you have that professional come out to your condominium association to do the capital reserve study, or you hire someone to do the capital reserve study, take a few minutes and ask them, does my building need to have a structural integrity report done? Ask them. That professional will be able to tell you yes or no based upon your building plans or based upon the information that you're able to provide to them. It'll be a very fast yes or no for them, not so much a fast yes or no for me. And I don't want to accidentally misguide or misadvise one of you in an area of expertise that is not mine. So again, I would highly suggest that when you are having your capital reserve study done, take a few minutes and find out from that professional, does your building also have to have a structural integrity report done? And then you can speak to them about hiring them for that job and then taking the time to do it, because again, the structural integrity report is not due until January of 2026. Now, talking about buildings that the structural integrity report does apply to, that is going to be buildings that are concrete, steel, masonry, brick, heavy timber, podium style construction. I have some links to some information to help you better get visuals to understand what that means. And again, more clarification and more definition. If your building is within 15 years of getting its initial CCO, it does not have to have the inspection at this time. If your building is over 15 years of its initial CCO, you must have the structural integrity report done. And then you must have it done every 5 years thereafter, unless whoever does your report deems that someone needs to come back for a follow-up less than 5 years in the event that you are having some repairs done. They may suggest a follow-up to have somebody come back out to make sure that what they are suggesting to be remediated and in the time frame or in the fashion that they are recommending according to code. So again, I want you to understand, if you speak to someone about or hire someone to do the inspection at your property, this cannot be simply a visual inspection. If someone comes out to your property and does a visual inspection and then writes some sort of a letter letting you know that your property has been structurally inspected and its integrity is fine, that piece of paper isn't worth anything, because from what I've come to find from the high-level conversations that I have been on, all visual inspections should lead to the recommendation that further testing be done. And there is non-destructive testing that can be done, several different styles of non-destructive testing that can be done to test the structural integrity of your building to confirm that your foundation is strong, that we don't have any water leaking in, that we don't have rebar that is now rotting, and that a small crack, a small molehill, if you will, isn't leading to a massive mountain that could potentially lead to your building's collapse. So again, if someone comes out and just simply does a visual inspection, that's a problem, because no one could certify that your building is safe based upon simply just looking at it with their own eyes. Okay, folks? So you're going to have some further testing done. That's got to be the recommendation of whoever it is that you're hiring. And again, who are these people that can come out and do the test? They must be, New Jersey does not certify structural engineers, if you will. It has to be someone who's an engineer, an architect, who is willing to attest to the fact that they have done work of this line in the past. That's all that it matters, that they're willing to testify that they have enough knowledge, that they have experience in this line of work. After the report has been completed, your board gets a copy, and every unit owner within the association is supposed to get a copy. If you haven't been given a copy by your board, request one. They have to give a copy to you. They're also likely going to have to give a copy to the local municipality. That's probably not going to be the building inspector. I have a feeling it's going to be the fire code inspectors, since they're the ones that are coming into your buildings almost annually anyway. I have a feeling they're going to be the ones that are going to be the record keepers of these structural integrity reports, and most likely the record keepers of these capital reserve studies, just because, again, they are in your properties on an annual basis, making sure that you're co-compliant with regards to fire safety. But most importantly, folks, it's important that you're educating yourselves. If your association doesn't know, that's okay. It's not uncommon. Again, I'm finding a trending pattern in associations that are not professionally managed. They're not so much in the know, and that's okay. You don't necessarily have to pay for professional management to still know what's going on. Lean on us to be a resource for you. And again, we have some great links below to assist you. I hope this is helpful for you. Again, please feel free to reach out. We want to be a source of education for you folks, and a source where you can come to get more information so that you can be in the know for yourselves and that you can really enjoy living here at the Jersey Shore. Thanks again for listening and following. Helen Ann from Living at the Jersey Shore.